How to study smarter and remember everything easily. Almost everyone has experienced the same frustrating situation. You spend hours reading books, highlighting important sentences, watching lectures, and taking notes. Everything seems clear while studying, but a few days later, most of the information has disappeared. During an exam, an interview, or even an ordinary conversation, you know you studied the topic, but you cannot remember the details. This problem affects students, professionals, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners everywhere. The real challenge is not a lack of intelligence. Most people do not struggle because they're incapable of learning. They struggle because they rely on ineffective study habits that create the illusion of learning without producing long-term memory. Reading the same chapter repeatedly, highlighting entire pages, or watching educational videos without testing yourself may feel productive, but these methods often result in weak memory. Learning is not measured by how much time you spend studying. It is measured by how much information your brain can successfully retrieve when you need it. The goal is not simply to finish studying, but to remember, understand, and apply what you have learned. Understanding how memory works changes everything. Your brain stores information in 3 stages. First, it receives information through attention. Second, it organizes and stores the information. Finally, it retrieves the information whenever you need it. Problems occur when one of these stages is weak. If you are distracted while studying, your brain never fully stores the information. If you never review it, your memory gradually fades. If you never practice recalling it, retrieval becomes difficult, even though the information is still partially stored. The first solution is to study with complete attention. Modern life constantly interrupts concentration. Notifications, background television, social media, emails, and even random thoughts divide your attention into small pieces. Every interruption forces your brain to restart its focus, reducing both understanding and memory. Instead of studying for 3 distracted hours, study for 45 minutes with full concentration. Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, silence your phone, and create a quiet environment where your brain can fully process information. Another powerful strategy is to study with a clear objective before opening your textbook. Many people begin reading without knowing exactly what they are trying to learn. Before every study session, ask yourself one simple question. What should I understand by the end of this session? Having a specific goal gives your brain a purpose, making it easier to identify important information while ignoring unnecessary details. One of the biggest mistakes students make is passive learning. Reading words is not the same as learning them. Your brain remembers information better when it actively works with it. After reading one section, close the book and explain the topic using your own words. If you cannot explain it simply, then you have not fully understood it. This technique immediately identifies weak areas that require more attention. Teaching is one of the strongest forms of learning. You do not need an actual classroom to use this method. Imagine explaining the topic to a friend, a younger sibling, or even yourself. Speaking aloud forces your brain to organize information logically, rather than simply recognizing familiar words on a page. Recognition creates confidence, but explanation creates understanding. Another highly effective method is active recall. Instead of repeatedly reading notes, test yourself without looking at the answers. Cover your notes and write everything you remember. Answer practice questions. Create flashcards. Solve problems without checking the solution immediately. Every time your brain retrieves information, the memory becomes stronger. Memory grows through retrieval, not through repeated exposure. Equally important is spaced repetition. Most people study intensely one day and then never review the material again until the exam. Unfortunately, memory naturally fades over time. Reviewing information at increasing intervals prevents forgetting. Review your notes after 1 day, then after 3 days, 1 week later, 2 weeks later, and finally 1 month later. Each review requires less time because the memory becomes more stable. Many learners try to memorize isolated facts, but the brain prefers connections. Instead of treating every concept as separate information, connect new ideas with things you already know. Ask yourself how today's lesson relates to yesterday's lesson, another subject, your career, or everyday life. Every meaningful connection creates another pathway for retrieving the information later. Organization also improves memory. Large chapters often overwhelm the brain because there is simply too much information presented at once. Divide the material into smaller sections. Study one concept completely before moving to the next. This approach, often called chunking, allows your brain to process information more efficiently because it handles smaller units instead of one enormous collection of facts. Taking effective notes is another essential skill. Many students copy every sentence from the textbook or presentation slides. This wastes time without improving understanding. Instead, summarize ideas using your own words. Focus on key concepts, relationships, formulas, definitions, and examples rather than copying entire paragraphs. Creating your own notes forces your brain to process the information instead of merely recording it. Visual learning techniques can strengthen memory even further. Diagrams, flowcharts, concept maps, and tables help organize information into meaningful structures. Your brain processes visual patterns faster than long blocks of text. Even simple sketches can improve understanding because they require you to identify relationships between ideas. Memory also improves when multiple senses work together. Read information aloud. Write important concepts by hand. Explain them verbally. Draw diagrams. Listen to recorded summaries. The more ways your brain experiences information, the stronger the memory becomes because different neural pathways are involved. One common mistake is studying for extremely long periods without breaks. Mental fatigue reduces concentration, increases mistakes, and weakens learning. Study in focused sessions followed by short breaks. During the break, avoid switching directly to social media because constant entertainment prevents your brain from recovering. Instead, stretch, walk, drink water, or simply relax for a few minutes before returning to your work. Sleep is one of the most underestimated learning tools. Many students sacrifice sleep to study longer, believing more hours automatically produce better results. The opposite is often true. During sleep, the brain strengthens and organizes memories formed during the day. Without enough quality sleep, information remains fragile and difficult to retrieve later. Consistent sleep schedules improve learning more than late-night cramming. Physical health also affects memory. Your brain requires oxygen, nutrients, hydration, and movement to perform well. Regular exercise increases blood flow to the brain, improving attention and cognitive performance. Drinking enough water prevents mental fatigue, while balanced nutrition provides the energy required for concentration. Even a short walk before studying can improve alertness. Stress is another major obstacle to memory. Moderate pressure can increase motivation, but excessive stress interferes with concentration and recall. When anxiety becomes overwhelming, the brain focuses on perceived threats rather than learning. Managing stress through planning, realistic schedules, breathing exercises, and regular breaks allows your mind to remain calm enough for effective learning. Many people confuse familiarity with mastery. Reading the same page multiple times makes the content feel familiar, but familiarity does not guarantee recall. The real test is whether you can answer questions without looking at the material. If you cannot retrieve the information independently, additional reading alone will not solve the problem. Continue testing yourself until retrieval becomes easy. Another practical strategy is to study difficult subjects first. Mental energy is highest during the beginning of your study session. Use this period for complex topics that require deeper thinking. Save easier tasks, such as organizing notes or reviewing familiar material for later when your energy naturally declines. Your study environment also influences learning. A clean, organized, and comfortable workspace reduces unnecessary distractions. Keep only the materials needed for your current task on your desk. Good lighting, comfortable seating, and proper temperature may seem like small details, but they significantly affect concentration during long study sessions. Technology can either improve learning or destroy focus. Educational applications, digital flashcards, online practice quizzes, and note-taking software are excellent tools when used intentionally. However, constant checking of messages, entertainment, and social media interrupts memory formation. Use technology to support learning rather than compete with it. Many students ignore mistakes because they feel discouraged after answering questions incorrectly. In reality, mistakes are valuable learning opportunities. Every incorrect answer reveals a weakness before the real examination. Instead of feeling frustrated, carefully analyze why the mistake happened. Understanding errors prevents repeating them in the future. Consistency is much more effective than occasional intense effort. Studying a little every day produces stronger long-term memory than studying everything at the last minute. Daily review keeps information active in your brain and reduces the overwhelming pressure of exam preparation. Motivation also becomes easier when you understand why you are learning. Instead of focusing only on passing an examination, think about how the knowledge will improve your career, solve real problems, or help other people. Purpose increases attention, and attention strengthens memory. Finally, remember that forgetting is completely normal. The brain naturally removes information that it believes is unimportant. Your responsibility is to repeatedly show your brain that certain information matters. Every review session, every practice question, every explanation, and every real-life application tells your brain that the knowledge should be retained. Studying smarter is not about secret tricks or extraordinary intelligence. It is about using methods that match the way the human brain actually learns. Focus deeply instead of studying longer. Test yourself instead of rereading endlessly. Review information over time instead of cramming everything into one night. Connect ideas instead of memorizing isolated facts. Sleep well, manage stress, stay physically healthy, and maintain consistent practice. When these habits become part of your routine, learning becomes faster, understanding becomes deeper, and remembering information becomes far easier. Instead of constantly forgetting what you studied, you begin building knowledge that remains available whenever you need it, whether for examinations, professional work, or lifelong personal growth. The most successful learners are not those with perfect memories. They are the people who understand how memory works and deliberately train it every day. Once you apply these evidence-based strategies consistently, studying becomes less frustrating, more efficient, and far more rewarding. Every study session becomes an investment that continues to benefit you long after the exam is ended.